the most dangerous man in the room isn't the one talking the loudest. It's the one who is perfectly comfortable with the silence, while every other man is performing, pleading, and chasing. He is simply observing. He knows that power doesn't run, it waits, and if you want her to follow, you have to stop looking back to see if she's there. The greatest power you will ever possess is the power of the unmoved frame. In the complex, often invisible theater of social dynamics, there is a hidden, silent tax on desperation. It is a tax paid in the currency of attraction, and most men are bankrupt before the first date even begins. Every text sent a second too quickly. Every nervous, high-pitched question asked to fill a gap in conversation. Every microscopic look of seeking approval or checking her face for a reaction. It is a leak, a slow, invisible drain of your perceived status. Most men are leaks. They spill their intentions, their insecurities, and their needs the moment they feel the pressure of silence. They cannot handle the weight of the unspoken, so they talk, they explain, they justify, and in doing so, they descend the ladder of value until they are looking up from the bottom. Nature does not respect a vacuum. It seeks to fill it. When you provide the void, that intentional space of silence, that lack of physical reaction, that refusal to lean in when she pulls away, the other person's psychology is forced to bridge the gap. This is the law of reverse effort. The more you try to lead, the more you signal to her subconscious that you aren't actually the leader. If you have to prove you are in charge, you aren't. A true king does not ask if he is wearing his crown. He simply breathes as if the room, the air, and the very ground beneath him belongs to his lineage. He moves with the heavy, unhurried pace of a man who has nowhere better to be than exactly where he is. Think of the static frame. When she tests you, and she will, because it is her biological imperative to find the boundaries of your strength, she is checking the structural integrity of your reality. She is asking, internally, is this man a shore I can lean against, or a reed that will snap in the wind? Most men fail this test because they react. They get angry, they get defensive, or they try to fix her mood as if their own happiness depends on it. The dark psychologist knows better. You remain perfectly still. Your internal temperature does not fluctuate based on the external weather of her emotions. If she is cold, you are the hearth. If she is chaotic, you are the stone. You do not explain your boundaries, you simply embody them. When you are non-reactive, you become a mirror. She sees her own chaos reflected back at her, and she looks to you for the order. This is the shadow lead. You aren't pushing her. You are pulling her into the gravity of your own peace. People do not walk away from mysteries. They obsess over them until they are solved. If you are an open book, she will read the last page and put you back on the shelf. If you are a locked door, she will spend her life looking for the key. The void is not about being cold. It is about being solid. It is the difference between a pebble on the path and a mountain on the horizon. The pebble is easily kicked aside by any passing foot. The mountain is navigated around, respected, and feared. It is the destination. By withdrawing the chase, you force her subconscious to ask the most dangerous question a woman can ask about a man. Why isn't he coming toward me? That single seed of doubt is the birth of genuine attraction. It creates a mental loop, a recurring thought. an itch in the back of her mind that can only be scratched by earning your attention. In this moment, you must master the art of the slow blink. Look at the world as if you are watching a movie you've already seen 1,000 times. Nothing surprises you. Nothing shakes the foundation of your intent. You are the center of gravity. And gravity never has to ask for permission to pull objects into its path. When you stop moving, the world finally has a chance to catch up to you. Let her catch up. Let her wonder if the silence is a sign of strength or a sign of indifference. The ambiguity is your greatest ally. Let the silence do the work that your words never could. The human mind is a biological machine built to solve patterns and predict outcomes. We are wired for efficiency, and efficiency is the death of desire. If a reward is guaranteed, if it is scheduled, if it is expected, the brain stops working to achieve it. If you provide a predictable pattern, constant good morning texts at 8 a.m., immediate replies to every notification, predictable compliments that lose their edge through repetition, the brain switches off. You become background noise. You become a utility, like electricity or running water, necessary, perhaps, but never exciting. No one stays up at night thinking about their faucet. They only think about it when the water stops running. To lead without chasing, you must break the pattern of your own availability. You must become a rare event in a world of constant digital noise. Enter intermittent reinforcement. This is the single most addictive force in known human psychology. It is the engine behind the multi-billion-dollar gambling industry. It is why people lose their life savings at a slot machine, and why they stay in relationships that defy all logic. The brain is not addicted to the win. It is addicted to the possibility of the win. The reward, your attention, your warmth, your touch, must be of the highest quality. But it must be statistically rare. Consider the primal pause. When you are close to her, don't rush the physical escalation. Let your hand linger on the small of her back. Lean in, as if you're about to speak into her ear, letting the heat of your breath touch her skin. And then, move away. Break the tension you just created. This is the push-pull of the soul. By igniting the flame and then stepping back, you leave her in a state of biological arousal that her mind must rationalize. She will convince herself that she wants you, when in reality, she is simply craving the resolution of the tension you planted. Give her the fire, the intensity, the deep, unwavering gaze that makes her feel like the only person in the universe. Make the high so potent, so visceral, that she craves it for weeks after you've left the room. And then, withdraw. Go dark. Not out of spite, not out of a game, but out of purpose. A man who is constantly chasing has no mission higher than the pursuit of a woman. This is inherently low value. It signals that your time has no market price. A man who is leading has a kingdom to build, a legacy to protect, and a vision that demands his total isolation. When you disappear into your work, your goals, your own private world, you create a scarcity loop. The psychological high you gave her during the phase of absolute presence becomes a golden memory she desperately wants to replicate. Because she doesn't know when the next reward is coming, her brain assigns you a massive, inflated value. She begins to view your time as a limited resource, and humans fight for limited resources. They cherish what is rare, and they neglect what is abundant. The dark element here is the surgical use of selective attention. Reward the behaviors you want to see with the full sun of your focus, and punish the behaviors you don't want with your total absence, not with words, never with an argument. An argument is just another form of attention. It is a hit of dopamine for the ego. It proves she can still move you. It proves she is the director of your emotions. Simply move your light elsewhere. Silence is the ultimate disciplinarian. It is the cold shoulder of the psyche. It leaves the other person alone with the loud echoing chambers of their own thoughts. And in that silence, they will almost always blame themselves for the loss of your warmth. They will replay the last few hours, searching for the moment they lost you. They will try harder to please you, just to see that spark in your eye again. Stop being the reliable choice who is always available at the push of a button. Availability is a commodity, and commodities are traded cheaply on the open market. Be a luxury asset, limited, exclusive, hard to attain, and even harder to keep. When you stop chasing, you stop being a buyer in the market of validation, and you start being the product. Let her do the mental labor. Let her check her phone. Let her wonder if she's losing you. The moment she fears your loss is the moment she begins to lead herself into your arms. The chase ends when the value is established, and value is established through the distance between the rewards. Master the distance, and you master the heart. The final layer of leadership is not what you do. It is the pre-selection of your aura. It is the invisible radiation of a man who has options, even if he is currently standing entirely alone in a crowded room. Chasing is the behavior of the starving. It is the frantic, high-pitched energy of someone who doesn't know where their next meal is coming from. Leading is the behavior of the well-fed. It is the calm, deliberate, and heavy movement of someone who has already won the game before it started. You don't walk like a man looking for a prize. You walk like a man who is the prize. When you speak, you must master the downward inflection. Most men talk with a rising tone at the end of their sentences, a subtle, vocal pleading for permission to be heard. They sound like they're asking a question even when they're making a statement. They are subconsciously asking, "Is this okay to say? Do you still like me?" A leader does not ask for permission. A leader makes statements that invite participation. "We're going to that new spot at 8. Be ready. You look like you've had an exhausting day. Sit down and tell me the highlight." This isn't aggression, it's direction. Women don't want to lead the logistics of a relationship. They want to feel the safety of a man who knows exactly where he is going. In the bedroom, this manifests as decisive intent. A man who leads doesn't ask, "Can I?" He communicates with his hands, his gaze, and his stillness. He understands that sexual dominance is 10% physical and 90% psychological. It is the feeling of being claimed by a man who cannot be easily bought. Utilize the technique of cold reading. Stop asking boring, interview-style questions. Questions are an interrogation. Interrogations are a form of chasing information, and they are inherently low status. They make you look like a fan interviewing a celebrity. Instead, make bold, intuitive observations about her character. You have the look of someone who is incredibly organized on the outside, but secretly, you're looking for someone who can handle your internal chaos, someone who isn't afraid of the dark parts of you. Whether your observation is 100% accurate doesn't actually matter. What matters is that you are evaluating her. In any human interaction, the person doing the evaluating is the person in the lead. The person being evaluated is the person chasing the passing grade. By shifting the focus from "do you like me?" to "do I like you?" the entire power dynamic flips. You are now the judge behind the desk, and she is the applicant. She begins to seek your approval because you were the first one to stop seeking hers. This is the fundamental shift. You are no longer the fan in the front row. You are the director of the play. And the most dangerous weapon in your psychological arsenal, the one that ensures you will never have to chase a woman for the rest of your life, is the walk-away power. You must be genuinely, soulfully prepared to lose her, not as a bluff, not as a tactic, but as a core, unshakable truth. If the standards of your kingdom are not met, if her behavior is disrespectful, if she adds more stress than value, you must be able to turn your back and never look over your shoulder. Dark psychology tells us that the person who is most willing to leave holds all the cards in the negotiation. When she senses, not through your words, but through your vibration, that your life is so fulfilling, so intense, and so focused on your own evolution that she is a luxury and not a necessity. She will move mountains to stay in your orbit. She will fear the silence because she knows that in your silence, you are perfectly happy without her. She will begin to lead herself into the vacuum of your life. She will chase the stability of your unshakable frame. She will chase the mystery of your calculated silence. She will chase the rare validation of your approval. Because you didn't run. You stood your ground like a monument. You didn't beg. You commanded the space around you, and you didn't chase, because a king knows that the prize always finds its way back to the throne. The power is in the stillness. The lead is in the lack of effort. The victory is in the walk away. The world is full of hunters, but only the king has the power to remain still. If you're ready to stop chasing and start being the destination, then leave a shadow in the comments. And remember, the silence is where you find your crown.